What's going on, Facebook world, YouTube world, Instagram world, wherever you're watching this? It is your boy Cam. Maybe about a week ago, it is now the day after the release day of Black Panther. About a week ago, I had made a video describing why Black Panther was so hype to the African American community and to anyone that's like positive about seeing people of color positively represented in mainstream media, in pop culture, and all that. I made a video about some of the key points that were like important about why people were hyped for that. If you didn't go see that video, I did a Facebook Live again a week ago, and you could go check that out. The reason why this video is entitled as such is because I have made an extremely crazy discovery after watching this movie, coming home and reveling in it and enjoying it and not wanting it to be over. I have woken up now the day after the release of Black Panther and made an extremely bizarre discovery, which I did not even fathom I was going to discover. So before I get into this discovery, let me give you some little bit of like a recap, like a brief recap of my former video about why Black Panther was so hype, right? Or why it was so hyped to people of like in the black community, right? So Black Panther was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby in the late 50s, 60s, and it was the first, arguably, without question, I'm not even gonna say arguably, it was the first Afro-American superhero to make his way onto the cover and into the pages of comic books. The reason why this is so crazy at the time was because you have to think about the time period in which that was done. So you have Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and you have comic book writers and creators of these comic books. They are white people, sure, and the most of the heroes during that era, and even still now, are predominantly white. So when you in times of racism and civil unrest and injustices toward people of color and extreme segregation, when you give people of color a superhero, you're gonna get death threats. When you create something that white people don't want to see, you're gonna get backlash, and that's what happened to Stan Lee. So if you're the 50s and 60s era Bernie Sanders, and you're speaking to and you're giving a people of color a superhero to kind of represent them in a positive light, if you're racist during that time, you're not gonna like that. If you are an owner of a comic book store in the 50s and 60s, or you are a publisher, or you're an author and you're a writer of comics, and you've succumbed to racism, you're affected by racism, or you're scared of the racists who are higher than you, you are not going to even want anything black near you. You're not even allowed to drink out of the same water fountain. You're definitely not going to want to see a black superhero on the pages of your book. So as Stan Lee, or as the creator of these superheroes, to do something like that during that time, it doesn't matter whether you're Chinese, black, white, Native American, yellow, purple, green. You have to salute somebody that's willing to go out of it's not even out of his comfort zone, but you have to salute somebody that's willing to go out and create against all adversity. You have to. It doesn't matter if you're black or white or whatever. You have to salute that. And at the time, there was no black business owners. There was no black comic book artists. And if there were, they were not at any level as Stan Lee was. They were not drawing characters like Jack Kirby. These were not people who were given they had the ability. They weren't privileged enough to be in these positions to do these things. So it took a Stan Lee to force these things through. Hate it if you want to. You could be mad as you want to because, oh, a white man did it, and oh, why did it have to be him? Why? Who fucking cares? He did it. He did it for the homies. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who creates something. It matters what happens after said creation. Where does it go? It doesn't matter who owns the rights to it. It's what the rights do. It's what the ownership does for the collective people. And those are the facts. So during this time, but I'm gonna make this pretty as fast as I can. So 50s, 60s, Stan Lee creates Black Panther. It gets node. He gets death threats because it's a black superhero. Does it anyways. Pushes it through. Black kids, if I were growing up in the 50s and 60s, I didn't have magazines to go to. I didn't have Jet magazine. I didn't have positive black superheroes on TV. I didn't have cartoons. I didn't have toys where the thing I could relate, where I could relate to those things. There was nothing relatable in a positive light that we had. So if you are in a position like Stan Lee is, and you give us something like that, or you make a character that represents Africans in a positive light and give the character powers and nobility and strength and honor and dignity, pride, all these things that are forced into our young black kings and queens. If you give a superhero that, how can we not want to relate to that? How can we not love that? So here it is in the 60s, and you have the Panther Party created months after Black Panther graces the covers of comic books, right? The rest is history. And even it is years later. It is more than 40 years later. And Black Panther just within the past couple years, is just become a household name. I grew up loving Black Panther since I was a toddler because of what he stood for. Again, I went into this in my former video. It wasn't necessarily that Black Panther had superpowers or whatever. It was the backstory of when Black Panther was created by the writers and the artists, what was going on during that time. Those things intrigue me, as well as what Black Panther's superhero persona represents. It was the time, Black Panther's backstory and the creation is what intrigues me as just as much as the fact that he can whoop anybody's ass. So when you give kids that aren't given these things, we don't have as many black superheroes as Johnny or Steven have to speak to us as kids. When you give an entire culture that, you have to respect it regardless of the artist. You have to respect it. So fast forward here, it is 2018. 2016, 2017, 2018. Black Panther has made his way onto the big screen amongst, now mind you, we've had a couple cool superheroes that made it to big screen. We've had the Blades, we've had the Luke Cage, he's got his own Netflix series. We've had we used to even have Bruce Leroy back in the day. We've had black people to root for and to be like, yeah, yes, one for the homies, sure, but nowhere near as much of the plethora of white faces that there has been in superhero stardom. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm just pointing out the facts and the statistics. So when you give a segregated people or a deprived people something that they can root for and feel as if it represents them in a positive light, they have no choice but to drink it and love it like it's water in the desert. In Hollywood, the representation of black people in a positive light has been like water in the desert. Water in the desert. So, what I have discovered, which is baffling to me, is that on the day after Black Panther releases in theaters, I go online and I'm seeing black people mad. I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. Mad that Stan Lee and Disney are all run by white people, and it's cool. This is actual a quote. This is a quote from some mad, salty black nobodies. Oh, it's Black Panther had an all-black cast and some famous black people and all, but Stan Lee owns all that shit. Okay. Okay. What's the point? What are you mad about, nigga? Like, what are you really mad about, though? So, this is what baffles me. This has been what baffles me about black people, because it's disappointing when we have become so blinded by greed and by who's in charge of what and all of this other bullshit that has been forced into our minds by outside sources, that we forget to celebrate our people. We forget to celebrate even the small things. So I have to remind dumb niggas that if your people are taking any sort of W, you should celebrate that. It don't matter who's at the top, who's calling shots. If your people get a dub, celebrate the goddamn dub. Black Panther had a majority black cast. It was shot in Africa. It was black people's finest hour in superhero movie history. The actors did a phenomenal job. It was the most hyped movie of the goddamn year. And some of y'all mad because a white man created the superhero who is just now getting his shine on? Y'all mad at that? What the fuck? Oh my god. Bruh. Let me ask y'all, let me paint this picture for y'all real quick before I close. If your daughter, you are a black mom, you are a black parent, if your daughter graduates college today, you are in the stands right now watching your daughter walk across the stage. She has worked 4 years, 8 years. She got her master's, she got her bachelor's, whatever it is. She's graduating. And you are in the stands. Are you mad? Are you mad at the establishment? Are you mad at the school system? Are you mad at systemic racism? Are you mad at the principal? Are you mad at who owns the school? No. You're ecstatic that your baby girl, that's your beautiful baby boy, whoever it may be, that's your kids, your twins, your daughters, or your sons are graduating, that they made it, regardless of the adversity, regardless of the hardships, regardless of loss and L's. You are happy that day because they made it. You're not going to be sitting in the crowd. Well, the owner of the school is still white, so I'm not happy today. I don't know what y'all gotta be happy about. No, you're happy because your girl graduated high school. What the fuck are you mad about? Nigga, what are you mad about? Stan Lee owns this or Disney owns that. Shut the fuck up. What are you doing for your community, bro? What are you doing for the community, girl, who's mad at whoever owns what? You want to be mad at somebody? Be mad at your fucking self, because you're not contributing to nothing. You just online mad at who owns what. You don't own shit. How many niggas you employed this year? How many businesses do you run? How many companies do you own where you help out your people get jobs? How many casting calls have you gone to go try to find a movie role so that you could be a positive figure for these young black girls and black boys? None. You're mad on Facebook at a system you're not trying to change. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. So you being mad at the establishment or the actors or Stan Lee for creating a superhero that has given a voice of positive representation to people of color that have been deprived for over 300 years. You mad at that, and you sitting behind a goddamn computer screen salty for nothing, not doing shit. You are a ghost to the system. You are a ghost to our little girls and boys. You are not fucking nobody. Facts. Be mad if you want to, but you want to prove something to me? You want to be mad? You want to be upset that this white man owns Disney, or this white guy created a strong black character who is a work of fiction for our boys to want to grow up and be kings with pride and dignity? You want to be mad? Why don't you go take all that anger, start a business, start a company, start a record label, start a comic book company, create your shit, own all of it, employ black people, give them jobs, put them in cars, get them insurance, pay whatever you got to make it yours, and then you tell me about how mad you are that a white guy created something that is making us happy. Why don't you go do something like Stan Lee did? And then you come talk to me about being mad at the world for not letting enough black people do those things. Because the way I see it, it don't matter who did it. It matters whether it was done or not. Representation is what Black Panther was really about. And if you don't understand that, you don't understand shit.